Why am I even showing books if nobody reads? Okay, so we're gonna watch. We're gonna watch the video about and learn why nobody reads. Okay? I bet a lot of you have watched this live. Do you agree? I have never read a single word. How do you know Vaush? Are you a subscribe me? Well, I know Vaush because Vaush has helped me last year. Like last year, end of last year, beginning last year, my mom had like a big accident. Well, it wasn't an accident per se. Someone just rode into my mom with an electric scooter-like thing. So that it wasn't exactly an accident. It was a person just driving into my mom with this sort of electric scooter-ish like thing. And then she fell into the ground. She spent like an hour lying on the ground. She was taken to a hospital. She needed surgery, and then there was a need for a rehab, which was pretty urgent. But unfortunately, in Poland, to get free rehab, she would have to wait for 6 months. Which, if you start rehab 6 months after surgery, that would be a little bit of a wash. You know, you would probably not walk as well as you could. And then there was a fundraiser organized for my mom, like a 12 hours uh, charity stream by Demon Mama and President Sunday. And then Vaush sort of guest starred at the end of that uh, fundraiser. See? And we got to talk a bit. That's basically what happened. And I got the amount, and I got to get rehab for my mom, and my mom can walk fine right now thanks to what happened back then. It was a pretty rough moment in time. So yes, that's basically the story with Vaush. And then I get raided from time to time. That I can tell you about genocide, death, the war, which I'm probably going to go soon to Kiev to visit some organizations. I'm trying to get a hold of an org in Poland that takes care of refugees from Ukraine that are part of the LGBT community. And then I want to go to Kiev and talk to an organization that helps with retrieving kidnapped children from Ukraine. That is a topic that is close to my heart. So I'll be going to Kiev pretty soon. So if you want to help me in this endeavor, why not subscribe or donate? You know, that would help me a lot. That would help me a lot in my endeavor. So that's basically what I try to do. That's basically what I try to do of the... What part of Poland are you from? I'm in Warsaw. I went to a refugee house recently. I wanted to talk to the staff of a refugee house, but they told me that they've had journalists before and they don't want to talk anymore to journalists, which made me question what sort of experiences did they have with journalists in the past that after having talked to journalists they don't want to talk to them no more. I'm going to revisit that refugee house. We'll see how that goes, you know. And then Then I'm going to try to also go to, although that's very difficult to find the address, organization that deals with the LGBT in Kiev, and it has a very specific name, you know, very characteristic name that's very hard to miss. It's called the Kiev Pride. So I wonder if I ask about the Kiev Pride address, will I just be, because for the life of me, I cannot find their address on the internet. For the life of me, I cannot find the address of Kiev Pride on the internet. Maybe I should ask someone for help with this one. Is there anyone in the audience right now who's Ukrainian by any chance who could maybe tell me what the address of Kiev Pride is? So that I could go there and talk to people. Oh yes, and I also covered a few protests lately of far-right lunatics. And I've even done interviews with a few of them, which makes a lot of people extremely angry with me. I got a lot of angry comments under the I interviewed a person because there's been a lot of protests of farmers. On the second farmer protest, and they call themselves peasants as well, the police had to step in because things got too rough. I even got a little bit gassed on that one. But on the third one, yes, on the third farmer protest, yeah, let the church rule. But so on the third protest, I met the best person that I've interviewed yet, because he told me that the agriculture policy should be ruled by the church. The church should dictate agricultural policy, and that how the policy should be formulated by the church should be through the teaching of the saints. The teaching of the saints should be like this tool for the church to, I guess, I don't know, show us how to do farming. And that person said all that unironically to my face. And then we talked a bit about the LGBT, and the person's wife stepped in. The person's wife stepped in and said, yeah, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now that if we allowed the LGBT to be like accepted, then men would be with men, women would be with women, and life on Earth would just end. Oh yeah, I did film it. It's on my YouTube as a segment. So yeah, I did film it. I filmed the whole. It was an interview. They agreed to be filmed in an interview. They said it as a part of an interview. It wasn't some stealthy filming. It was a official interview that they agreed to. And they said it all knowing that they were filmed, that it was like hello, what do you think should be done with farming? Oh yes, I actually think that the church should run things. Because the church knows and the saints know. And then the whole thing about if we would accept the LGBT, then the whole of humanity would end. Well, it's probably because the church in Poland, at least when it comes to recent history, was a big part of overthrowing the quote-unquote communist government, because the communist government sort of, I'm going to use quotation marks because it wasn't really communist, but it called itself communist and everybody called it communist. And so basically the government attacked the church became this thing that people rallied behind, and it sort of made the church a pretty big thing, you know? Oh yeah, and of course they called me sir throughout. They called me sir 50 times in that interview, 50,000 times every sentence they called me sir. Weirdly enough, the wife once very strangely slipped and called me ma'am. And then corrected herself. Course corrected. The funniest people, like, I'm gonna have to upload more material from that third peasant thing because it was extremely interesting. Two ladies, at least they gendered me correctly. They said ma'am. But I said, because I only have a phone to conduct my interviews, you know? I don't have a fancy camera. I don't have a fancy microphone. I'm a poor small streamer, okay? Which, you know, you could help me by donating. But I do this thing when I come over to people and I ask them, would you like to talk to the phone? That's basically my interview opener. Would you like to talk to the phone? And two ladies told me, ma'am, what is your political leaning? Are you right wing? Because if you're not, we don't even want to talk to you. What? So that happened. So what is your political leaning? Are you right wing? And I was like, centrist? And centrist wasn't good enough. They still didn't want to talk to me when I answered centrist. One lady who agreed to give me an interview said that the Polish prime minister should be pierced through the butt on a stake or something like that. Wild things, wild stories. You know? Oh, and I gotta translate because I went to an even wilder event, an anti-European Union protest by far-right youth groups. That there I didn't even feel I didn't feel like being a trans person on that one. I will say that. And there was the organizer who screamed, actually I have this on recorded as well, I'm gonna translate it, who screamed how there's this European Union organization that wants to force everybody to mutilate themselves and become trans. And the funniest part of that, and my phone actually caught it, so it's on the video, is like those far right dudes who were walking in the crowd and were asking themselves, why is the organizer talking about this crap? Aren't we supposed to be here about the European Union? I was like, oh my god, that's funny. Why is the organizer talking about the gay and trans stuff? We're supposed to be here about the European Union. I think that was the funniest moment of the whole march/protest, and thankfully it got caught by my phone. The anti-European Union people complaining about themselves that the organizer, hello Black Mage, is talking about the LGBT instead of European Union, which the organizer said a lot of interesting things about the European Union as well, and I caught it on video as well. Which kind of sort of varies. There are cases when you really don't want to engage a bad faith actors. Some people consider political opposition demons, and this is really, really bad. I actually interviewed a politician on the whole anti-European Union thing, but the anti-European Union politician saw this thing, that I'm, wearing. And she cut the interview short. So that was the end. That was the end of it. You know? Because she thought, oh yes, I also got it in the video because she said, you know how, uh, because she said if I got the okay from the government, I could go to Vladimir Putin and I could end the war. And I said, do you think that Vladimir Putin is a person that's worth talking to? And she said, yes, because there was almost peace. And Mike Johnson torpedoed the peace. You've heard about it, right? And I said, yeah, I've heard about it. I've heard it was nonsense. And she was like, oh, nonsense. Well, I have to go to my conservative friends in England and confirm it. That was... you know? But we're here to watch the video. Here to watch the video of Vaush being bookophobic, I guess. Against books. You know? So let's watch. Let's watch the thing about reading.
You totally remember the air in the 2000s.
Tell me if the video is too loud. The video feels loud.
Where people pretended J.K. Rowling was some great writer and Harry Potter was peak fiction. One thing that people need to understand, that nobody wants to...
You know who's a peak author, by the way, and peak fiction? Sorry to this... Like, we haven't even started the video. There's this author, Jewish author, that describes pre-World War I Poland and a bit of little post-World War I Poland. Isaac Bashevis Singer. He later went to the US and you wrote a lot of books in English. Remember this name. Isaac Bashevis Singer. Or Zinger. Isaac Bashevis Zinger. He wrote a lot of very excellent books. And was also very skeptical on Zionism as well. He lived in the US. He died in the US. You write it with the S. Singer. I'm gonna Google the name and then I'm gonna... so that I get the perfect spelling. Actually, we might as well look into his wiki. Because we're here about books. We're here to disprove the notion that Vaush is trying to put forward that nobody reads, okay? We're here to dispute that. Isaac Bashevis Singer was a Polish-born Jewish-American novelist, short story writer, memoirist, essayist, and translator. Some of his works were adapted for the theater. He wrote and published first in Yiddish and later translated his own works into English. He was actually really disliked by the state of Israel, by the way, because he was adamant about using Yiddish. He was adamant about not using Hebrew, but using Yiddish, you know? And he won sort of this literary Nobel Prize for Literature in Yiddish, mind you. His Yiddish work won the Nobel Prize, which Israel did not really like because Israel really marginalized Yiddish after World War II. Before World War II, weren't Eastern European Jewish people generally anti-Zionist and Zionism being more of a Western phenomenon? Yes, in Poland, Zionism did not really gain any traction before World War II. In fact, when Herzl, the sort of father of Zionism as we know it now, his associate visited the Congress Kingdom of Poland and said that the Polish Jewish people were weird because The poor Jewish people prayed 3 times a day, praying for Zion, and looked to the heavens for the Zion. But when the Zionists told them, why not go to Palestine and, why not actually do it, then the poor Jewish people would really resist it. And the enlightened, sort of more rich Jewish people told the associate of Herzl outright that any enlightened Jewish person would see the idea of Zionism as disgusting. So that's a little bit of history that's not talked about a lot, especially currently. And then there was the famous socialist organization of Jewish people called the Bund, which was, interestingly enough, completely erased in the USSR, which meant that the only branch of Bund existed in Poland. And of course, the Jewish socialists were not just skeptical about Zionists, but they were outright anti-Zionist. They said, why should we go to some faraway place where people already live, when we can just make the workers' lives better here where we already live? So that's like a whole, like the Jewish community, sort of, you could very well say that there was like a society within a society with all different levels of things, like the press, like theaters, coffee shops, stage theaters, etc., etc. It all exists, and it was all erased. It was all erased without a trace, and there is nothing that exists that can replace it. It was all just erased, destroyed, and then there's this gaping hole that exists now where this sort of Jewish society existed in Poland. It's a very... Also, thank you for all the subscriptions. So, Isaac Bashevis Singer. Very good writer, I recommend. Also, there's a reason why Warsaw, the capital of Poland, is referred to... I refer to it as a city of bones, and sometimes it's referred to as a cemetery, because in the areas where the Warsaw Ghetto was, there are still a lot of bones, a lot of bodies underground. Like, you can walk the street and you have this knowledge that there are human bodies buried not so deep under you. There was this person that sarcastically said, I love walking the Warsaw cemetery when I just walk the streets of Warsaw. See, I already I go to the depressing genocide topics, because I basically... That's one other thing. I also basically run a genocide channel, which is why genocide was one of the things that I debated Lonerbox on once, I've debated Lonerbox on genocide. You should watch it. You should watch my debate with Lonerbox. It's true. Although my debates usually turn to friendly conversations, so I'm not very blood sportsy debater, My debates usually just turn into a friendly conversations. I've only had a few debates in the history of this channel. I had a debate with Lonerbox, sort of a second debate with Lonerbox. I had a debate about genocide with a content creator called Food Shops. Have I debated anybody else? No, I don't think so. So if you have anybody that you'd like me to debate, then write their name in the chat or talk to. If there's anybody that you'd like for me to debate or talk to from other creators or make contact, then write their name. and I'll consider it. Okay, let's watch the thing about reading because it's been too long. It's to be very annoying to be read about Israel all of this time and nothing changes anyway. Well, that is true. But I usually talk about Ukraine and the Holodomor, which people claim it was not a genocide, the Holodomor, even though it clearly was.
Acknowledge, because saying it out loud makes them worry that they'll be judged for being like stupid or whatever. Nobody reads books. Nobody
reads books. Nobody reads books. Come on, Vaush. You know better than this. Nobody reads books.
does. The whole book industry is like kept up by whales.
But
Like,
that's not true. Come on, whales. Do you know how diverse the book industry is, quote unquote? How diverse the topics of books are? How many different books on different things? Are you telling me that the book industry is upkept by whales that buy hundreds upon hundreds of different books on all possible topics? You're a book whale. Like, there are books on every possible topic imaginable. Am I led to believe that there are those magical whales that just buy up every single topic, the whole spectrum of books is kept up by some whales? Also, thank you for the subscription. Is that what's going on? There's a rich book elite. There's this cabal of book elites that keep buying all of the books and keep the book industry afloat. I don't know. It feels... I'm not sure. Maybe I should debate Vaush on this. Should I debate Vaush on people reading books? Is that a thing you'd be interested in watching? Me debating Vaush on whether or not people read books. Is that gonna be my next debate? Sure? Okay. You should tell him that Lucy Haze, or Haze, as some like to call me, challenges him to a book debate. If you see me as a stiff, boring person, you can call me Lucy Haze. If you see me as a cyberpunk character, you can call me Haze.
there's a very small portion of the population that frequently reads a lot of books. The vast majority of people read basically no books at all. So when something gets
How do you know that? Didn't Vaush always say that he's like a sociology major and that he bases all of his things on statistics, data, and I don't know. Didn't he used to always point to stats and graphs and polling data for all of his statements? Is there actually a study that establishes that the majority of the population basically reads no books at all? Is there a study that the sociology major could point to?
Popular enough that basically everybody ends up reading it. Everyone will elevate it massively in terms of its perceived quality because the average person who read the Harry Potter books hadn't read other books. You know, you're not like, it's not like you're not getting like.
If you don't read books, then why would you read Harry Potter? If the majority of people don't read any books at all, then how would Harry Potter even become popular to begin with? How would people even stumble upon the book if they don't even read anything ever? That's my question, I guess. In that world where nobody reads ever, how would Harry Potter even get off the ground? Nowadays, books have big competition, true, but reading book is still a pretty unique experience at the end of the day. Oh, Oh, we're having a stat. Let's go. Let's see. Let's see this depressing stat that people don't read at all. We'll see. Reading habits in the US. I mean, it doesn't help for the rest of the world, but I guess that's a start. On average, the daily time spent reading among Americans adults was just 15 minutes in 2022. Listen, daily time spent reading, 15 minutes. That's already more than no reading. No? Isn't that already more than no reading at all? Is that basically already more than no reading? Already the thesis has been disproven on this one. Books in particular. Okay, that's true. That's all reading. That's all reading. Including articles and stuff, I suppose, yeah. This marked a return to pre-pandemic levels. Because people read during the pandemic. Time spent reading in the US surpassed 20 minutes per day in 2020, but dropped again the following year. And the way US consumers reading is changing. News consumption trends. I mean, people watch streamers for news. People watch... What sort of streamers do you watch, by the way? Apart from Vaush. Tell me your streamer diet. Also tell me, since there's so many new people here now, if you're enjoying this particular stream, then tell me, what do you like about it so far? What do you dislike about it so far? Tell me your feedback. Be blunt. You're a Vaush audience, so you should be able to be blunt with me, I think. I think it's a lot of people at 0 minutes with several outliers, 1, 2, 3 hours. That might be the case. Who, me? Yeah, of course you. Of course you. Majority report. It's less depressing so far than your usual ones. So far. I've got news, so it's okay. I've got topics for today, so it's not gonna be not depressing for long. Alec Gunter is great. Do you watch any streamers that cover Ukraine? My main topic. Do you follow the war still? I like Riverboat Jack, Demon Mama, Shark Free, 0. Dylan Burns, The Serfs, Majority Report. Damn. Demon Mama religiously. So you must have seen me appear on Demon Mama, no? You must have seen me guest on Demon Mama. And you must have seen Demon Mama be on this stream. No? Dylan Burns gave me a warning on my channel in a talk from 1 year ago. Yeah, that's where I first saw you. On Demon Mama. That's very nice. That's very nice. Sweet blasphemy. So what do you like on this stream? And what do you dislike on this stream that you're watching now? Give me, as a growing streamer, I have to get feedback so that I can improve and cut out all the things that I'm doing wrong while I read this article. New consumption trends. The main way in which reading habits in the US have changed is the medium through which Americans access news. In an age where updates can be found instantly via live news feeds, social media, and online video, the appeal of daily print newspapers has waned, and most consumers now get their news on the internet or on television. I like that you're interested in your local politics. We're gonna do a Polish segment today. Data on daily news consumption found that younger Americans now turn to social media for news. So streamers, basically. Streamers are the source of the news, which makes me the source of your news. I'm the source of your news, which we're gonna read. We're gonna read a TVP World article, and I'm gonna comment on it, and that's basically is gonna be your Polish news diet, especially since there's Russia interference. It's very chill, which I like. Any negatives can be attributed to English being a second language and nervousness, and it will get smoothed out with practice. Thank you. Thank you. I'm actually certified to teach English, believe it or not. I'm actually certified to teach it to people. It's true, and I actually have taught it to people before in my life. Oh, that's a depressing thought, isn't it? Oh, that's depressing. It's okay. Teaching is different from professionally speaking. That's true. That is true. It is a different skill set. You can teach English, but can you teach American? I try. European drama. Like, professionals. I'm a professional Polish speaker. Let's see the trends. Books and magazines. Oh, books. Book reading remains a popular pastime. Ooh. Throwing shade at Vaush's statement already. That the very first statement. Reading book remains a popular pastime. Oh no. With the most recent data showing that 3/4 of all adults had read at least one book in any format in the past year. Oh no. Additionally, Americans continue to spend in excess of $100 per day on reading. Print remains the preferred book format, but book readers are growing more open to other options. Digital alternatives to print are becoming more popular as consumers capitalize on the accessibility and convenience which ebooks and audiobooks offer. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oof. Oh no. So far, I guess so much for people not reading anymore. So much for people on average. This used to be what Vaush did, wasn't it? Vaush used to go to data and studies for this. Not good. Also, people read more magazines, but we don't care about magazines because Vaush made no claims about how many magazines people read. Although I assume that he would say a similar thing about magazines now. I assume that if he thinks that nobody reads books, then he actually also thinks that nobody reads magazines. My partner is from Poland, so I kind of have a built-in bias to want to learn about Polish society, politics, etc. I'm happy to find you as a source of knowledge. Thank you. I hope to see you on future streams, especially since I'm trying to build an actual audience of people that watch me regularly, and it's been a struggle. Cześć, jestem Arne. Jestem Niemcem. What was Vaush best? I guess. They should rename English to American. So yes, I'm trying to build an audience. An audience of gigglers. That's what I call people that watch. Also, I have a Discord. You should join the Discord and be very active on it. True. As I prepare for my little bit as I prepare for my little trip to Kiev for just a few days. Never heard of your Discord. It's called the Giggle Cord. Log in. Niemcem, yeah. Niemiec means one that does not speak in the Slavic languages. Did you know that Polish is much more similar to Ukrainian than Russian? Did you know that? That's a very interesting little fact, isn't it? Polish shares 70% of vocabulary with Ukrainian, actually. And Russian actually shares a lot less vocabulary with Ukrainian. A lot less than 70% anyway. Okay, let's go. Let's watch this.
It's not like getting compared to like a broader. I don't give a shit if you read books. Why would you think anyone gives a shit? It's not getting compared to some like broader library. Like people aren't going out there and comparing Harry Potter to a like
Yeah, that's why I can understand a lot of Ukrainian when I hear it, and vice versa.
What's something jest? What's that book that I
A person from Kiev told me as advice that if I ever lack a word in Ukrainian, I should just speak Polish and people will understand. But I'd rather learn the Ukrainian words.
wanted to read like 5 years ago, but never did. The Jest book, the one of the best books, Infinite Jest. Thank you. You know, they're not out there comparing that shit to House of Leaves or whatever the fuck else good book that you want.
Just read, don't read fiction. Read nice books like The War Came to Us on Ukraine War, or The Bloodlands. Read nice books. Right? The War Came to Us.
Want to compare it to, you know, people. It's like people will like hear that a book is so good that they have to read it, and they'll read it, and it'll be the first book they've read in like 6 years, and it'll be amazing to them because they haven't read anything in ages.
It's 6 years. Come on. Oh, Vaush.
Currently, that's Colleen Hoover, a lady who is very popular but not good and fetishizes abusive relationships / sick men, but is marketed to teens for romance. I mean, isn't that like the exact same as Twilight? Like, isn't Twilight also abusive?
Yeah, Twilight also was. But again, if people that's the main question. That's a question I will save for the debate, but I'm already saying it here. If nobody reads, if Harry Potter was the first book they've read in 6 years, then how did they even stumble upon it? Who was the person that actually popularized Harry Potter if nobody reads? Can somebody, maybe somebody in chat can explain this to me. Who popularized Harry Potter if nobody reads? If nobody reads, then why would anybody be interested in reading Harry Potter to begin with? Contra made a great video on Twilight. She did.
Relationships and sick men, kind of. Maybe it's worse. I don't know. I think a great example of the fact that nobody reads anymore is that the entire like book talk community, but right now, like, you know,
children made Harry Potter popular. Okay, so does that mean that children do read, and then that people just grow out of reading? Is that it? Is that what I'm hearing? Readings for children, and then you grow out of it? If children popularized it? Is that the trajectory? You read as a child, and you just, I'm an adult now, I don't read anymore, that's for kids.
Young adult books aren't for young adults anymore, right? Like young adults now have to be marketed to like 37-year-old millennial women who will never read anything more.
What? I mean, I don't read much fiction, to be fair. I read history books. I primarily read history books. I don't really... I mean, I do read Isaac Bashevis Singer. I read this book about a Jewish prostitute from the shady underworld of the Jewish community from Isaac Bashevis Singer that wants a better future and plans to move to the US. I used to be a very avid reader, but I have been struggling more with managing executive dysfunction in the past few years. I really need to focus on getting started again. I mean, if you have problems getting focused, then you could just, and it might feel like strange advice, you might just want to, I mean, reading's not a race. You can just relax and read 1 page, 2 pages, and then you've done some reading, no? I read gay romance novels and BL. True.
challenging, and they think of it as like, I don't know, reclaiming or capturing their youth or whatever. Discworld is genuinely really good and infinitely better than Harry Potter.
True. Discworld is really good. Another good example of a book, Discworld. Yeah. Everybody should read Discworld. Terry Pratchett, who actually suffered from Alzheimer's later on. Very, very sad and unfortunate illness for a person that is a writer to get. Discworld is this fantasy series about a world that is a flat disc on four turtles. No, sorry. Four elephants on a giant turtle. A giant turtle is going through space. On that turtle you have four elephants. On that four elephants you have like a flat disc world. We should play Discworld on stream one day. There are two excellent games. Discworld 1 and Discworld 2. Point and click adventure games. If anybody here knows what that genre even is. Because it died a long time ago.
Anything by Terry Pratchett is great. Neil Gaiman too. Read Good Omens. No. Why would you arrogant fuck? You think you'd tell me what to read? What the fuck are you talking about?
What? What's with the aggression? Wait, is that what makes us a successful streamer? Being so aggressive to your audience? Is that what people come to watch? People screaming at their audience and being mean. Maybe I'm just too nice to my audience. Maybe I should be more like this. Maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe it's just boring to be nice.
This is exactly what I mean about you book readers. I'm having a conversation about
how I won't be aggressive to you, Aris. Wait, what do you mean you already don't? What do you mean? Is that the only way he gains watchers? Does that mean that that's the trajectory that I should be going to? Should that be my trajectory? No, you scumbags. You don't tell me what to do. You are scum. Kneel down and beg for forgiveness. Kneel. Is that good? Kneel. Did the amount of viewers grow? Oh my god, what happened? Who got muted? Okay, let's continue. Also, does Vaush count comic books among books?
Nobody reads books, and you arrogantly, you step into you with your big goddamn britches and your big cowboy hat. Wear all the here. Read Discworld. There's like 70 books. Terry Pratchett. Read all the. Fuck you. No, I'm never gonna read any.
You could read one. You don't have to read 70 books. You can read a single Discworld book. Nobody's asking you to read all of them. Just read one. Thank you, Titanic Liquid, for the subscription. Just read one. Nobody's demanding that you read like 70 books.
Anything again. Fuck off. This is what I mean about you book readers. Totally detached from reality. Good lord. Vaush reads.
Oh my god. It worked.
The Authority.
Oh, it worked. That's right. Bow down to me, and this is becoming some really weird dominance thing. I don't know. That's
That's a comic book, and I don't read it. It ended like over a decade ago. I read it. Yeah, I read all Theory. Isn't that enough for me? You're very anti-book? No, I just acknowledge that most people don't read. This is what I mean. This is, people are worried that they're going to get made fun of for pointing out that nobody fucking reads. Because then...
I mean, the study disproves you, Vaush. You cannot just throw a statement like this without showing us any evidence. You're a sociologist, aren't you? Vaush.
Chat fills up with a bunch of people who have read one book in the past 3 years, going like, what do you mean you don't read? You're saying people don't read? Everyone reads. And that, like, it's a worthless conversation. Most of the people in chat who just said they read, by the way, haven't read anything new in the past 8 months.
People read, and I have read a lot of new things in the last 8 months, actually. I've read quite a few new things, actually.
Guarantee it. Easiest call of my life. You read like a collection of books that you like, and then you reflect on them, or maybe you reread for comfort or something, but I guarantee you that's the case. I've been reading the Witcher books. The Witcher books are pretty good. There's manga.
Oh, wow. I guess Wiedźmin is the thing that sort of breaks the mold, huh? Wiedźmin is just the book that everybody has to read. And yes, Wiedźmin is The Witcher in Polish. I don't know. The bot just muted you automatically. Wiedźmin mentioned, that's right.
Count? No. They read fan fiction? Yeah, I guess they read AO3. Do graphic novels count? Absolutely not, no.
Currently reading Snyder's book, Road to Unfreedom. Have you read it, Lucy? So is it any good? I've not read it yet. Like, I don't really have a big access to English language books by Timothy Snyder. I barely got the Bloodlands. I barely got the Bloodlands. I started reading another book, The History of Ukraine. Fan fiction is really literature. I mean, it can be, or rather, it just is. It's just fiction literature written by a fan. You know? Or is it because I said that? Yeah, I'm a trans woman. I'm a trans woman.
No. I played Disco Elysium, that's close. That's true. That's true. What should us writers do? Who cares? This isn't about you. What? Shut up. What is it with you people? It's like a broader...
Do you see those little GIFs? I animated them myself. I animated those myself. I'm a little bit of an artist. I forgot. I also a part of from politics, genocide, war. I also do art. And I also do languages. And if you become a Patreon, on my Patreon, this is the biggest perk. No one ever will give you such a great deal on a Patreon perk. So the amount of money that you pledge on my Patreon each month becomes a discount for an art commission. Pretty nice, huh? Let's say you pledge, I don't even know if that's an amount on the Patreon, but let's say you pledge $40, right? And then each month you basically get a $40 commission. See? Pretty cool, huh? Vaush's hypermasculinity doesn't suit women that well. I'm not sure it would work out that well for you. Listen, it worked pretty well. It gave me a subscription. Lie down, bow down, and behave. 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 Scumbags. See? It works. It works perfectly well for me.
Thing. Everyone wants to make it a broader thing. Good lord. The fact that barely anyone reads is a fact that you have to accept, okay? Like, sorry.
How is it a fact? You have not established this fact at all. You have not given us any evidence. Usually you do. Usually you look into stats, facts, and other things. And now you didn't. You didn't. I don't know if it's being on the spectrum thing, but I understand this ranting tone he does. I do a version of it, although not as directly aggressive. It's like a cynical triple irony. I'm serious but joking, but actually I really mean it in my experience. Oh, I see. Well, what do you think of my tone? Vaush point is the difference between a reader and someone reading. If I only run for 10 minutes per year, I'm a runner or a dude that ran once. True, but I think that people read more books than Vaush gives credit. And the thing that we looked at, okay, this page, statista.com, seems to agree that people read more than Vaush wants to. You know, it says book reading remains a popular pastime, with the most recent data showing that 3/4 of all adults had read at least one book in any format in the past year. Oh yeah, actually that's a Polish thing, okay? Vaush grooms his beard, and I groom my hair. That's a Polish thing, for sure. Anybody, if you see anybody groom their hair or do anything with their hair, with their beard or hair, like groom with a thing or even with their hand constantly, it means that they have some sort of affinity to Eastern Europe. Or are partly Eastern European, like Vaush here. Check it out. Observe it. Observe it. Observe it in people. And see if it checks out. I think your tone is nice. Oh, thank you. Sounds like a fact to me. True. You know? Observe what people do with their hair and see if they have an affinity to Eastern Europe. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue your video because it's been 3 minutes and it's 19 minutes. Do you think this will be a good segment to upload? Do you think I have to... Okay, if I make this into a segment, then should I cut out all the side things that I do? Or should I just leave that in? You decide in the chat by writing me right now. Oh boy, I guess I'm secretly Balkan now. True.
Fortunately, online book communities don't seem to make
This whole thing, me watching this becomes a segment. Should I cut out the thing that I'm basically doing now, or should I just leave it in?
make this much better because the like obsession with young adult literature, even for not young adults. I don't know. Yeah. Vaush, you're so grumpy today. What the fuck? I actually do hate reading discourse for what it's worth. Like I genuinely am sick of it. The whole it's so dumb. Chat's
I guess it's time to debate.
salty about you denying their view of themselves, Vaush. I don't know if you can win the fight, but I already have. They know I'm right.
How did you win the fight? It's 4 minutes and the video's 19 minutes, so clearly you've not won the fight.
Okay, Vaush, but does AO3 count for something? You know what? Reading is reading, but like, no, AO3 is not reading books. This is one of the problems with reading. Reading is difficult. It's less accessible than basically any other medium you could consume.
What? Reading's difficult? Keep the Stunlocks in. Okay, I will keep them in.
Audio
The segment is gonna be really long then.
happens. Something you watch happens to your eyes. You just have to stare in the right direction and think. Reading
Yeah, you have to think.
requires active effort. The problem is that
Consuming any media requires active effort if you don't want it to go in and go out the other way. No?
people like a lot of the stuff that reading offers, like the imagination, you know, all the cool
I
shit.
could do the timestamps. Does anybody in the audience would anybody in the audience would like to become my official timestamper for videos? And add timestamps.
You can write about. But you're all cowards. You're spineless wretches. So rather than read something new and interesting, you
I am
read
reading new and interesting things. What do you mean?
like fan fiction of characters you already know about. You know, or like young
You can read new and interesting things about the characters you know already about. Those things are not mutually exclusive even. You can take if a new person has basically a totally different take on an existing character, then in some cases the old character basically becomes a new character because they take a different spin on the character than the original author. So it becomes a pretty new thing in its own right. So I'm not sure if this argument even stands to scrutiny, to be honest. You are consuming my stream, Fiona, more than anybody else.
adult novels that'll repeat the exact same story beats over and over and over again because you know, you can't stomach anything outside of that. This is reading in the I guess, I don't know, the plainest possible sense. I don't know if you say it technically counts, but probably not like reading books. Audiobooks, that's literally not reading. Fan fiction is more than that. Oh, good lord. It's fan fiction. Fan fiction can be any quality, but it's still fan fiction. You're treading in your comfort pool. You're in like a urine-soaked kiddie pool, and you're like,
oh my god! What is this comparison?
you're like
Counter
treading.
his arguments with facts. Well, you have to pitch this. We have to pitch this to Vaush so that he challenges. He accepts my challenge. Also, yes, please join the page and please, you know, give me some love.
Around, you're doggy pedaling. You know, can you imagine a
Oh,
person saying,
there's a lot of people here, so I might as well turn on my special artwork that I have for this occasion. A fan who is a really nice person and creates artwork for me has created this special artwork for me. Observe. There you go. Now the stream setup is complete. Now the setup is complete.
saying, yeah, I love watching movies, and they've watched exactly one movie in their life, and then 57 fan films of people reenacting like fucking, you know, a slice of life scenarios with the characters they liked from that one book. It's really weird. It's something pretty specific to
He won't do it because he wants you to email him. I actually, before my mom had that accident, I've been emailing with him. So maybe I should email him. Maybe you're right. I will email him.
writing. I don't think there's much of a parallel to other forms of media. But yeah. Audiobooks are reading. Audiobooks are listening, Tempest. Mind you, I'm not saying that
Some people count listening to books as reading. I guess that, you know.
audiobooks are worse than regular reading. I don't think they are, but they can't be reading. I mean, you're not reading, right? But even then, it's not like people listen to audiobooks of like really bold, interesting shit. I feel
So not only don't people not read ever, people, if they read, don't read anything interesting. So what am I then? All I mean is don't have people go into his chat and tell him to debate you. Ah, okay. I'll email him about a debate about books.
feel like you could do pretty well with audiobooks for some types of media, but for some, there are definitely some types of books where you just couldn't do an audiobook for, right?
Like what? Give me an example of a book that you could not do an audio. You actually can do an audiobook of any sort of book. I'm waiting for an example of a book that you would not be able to pull off an audiobook from.
Right? Like,
No.
I feel like sometimes the way, like, it depends, I guess, on the prose of the author, but sometimes, like, you just can't linearly run sentence to sentence, like, left to right one time. Like, you'd have to keep, like, rereading or, like, or going back 30 seconds or something.
What do you mean? What? I don't know what that means. You're the rare exception.
I don't know if there's, like, a hard line there where, like, what you can...
Like, keep in mind, there are audiobooks that aren't just flat reading. There are audiobooks that incorporate sound effects, whole soundtracks. You know?
Or can't audiobook, but there are definitely some things you can't, like, reasonably audiobook, I feel. this discourse isn't worth it. And yet, Vaush, not saying you're wrong, but the survey data does not bear this out.
Oh, true. There you go. Survey data does not bear this out. What are you gonna say, sociologist major?
About half the population reads at least one book a month. Absolute, like, lying.
Oh, Barry! Thank you for the tier 1, sweet blasphemy. Thank you. Begone, white name. True, there's so many white names in the chat. So many white names. That could be colored names. And that means I'll have some war funds for Ukraine.
Probably lying, but still lying. They're all lying. Everyone, this is what I mean. This is the problem that I have with this discourse. People lie. Nobody lies like this about movies. Like, I watch barely any movies.
Nobody lies like this about movies. I actually have not been watching many movies. Oh wait, no, that's a lie. Last month, I've watched 3 movies. I watched 3 movies. Excellent movies, okay? So, I will recommend these movies. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I've never watched actually many westerns before, but I've been made to watch a western. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. One's good, right? And then, I've been made to watch High Noon. Also a western. And then I've been made to watch this movie that's with... I have to look it up, okay? That's the 3rd movie. So I have to look up the... not FilmWeb. Wikipedia. What's that movie called? That 3rd movie that was a World War II movie. Oh gosh, I have to look for it on the English wiki. The 3rd movie that I've watched was called... Don't kill me for not remembering the title. Where's the... Okay. Why can't I find it? Oh, awards. Filmography. There we go. Where is the... Okay, I'll find it now. Okay, let's see. The trouble has to be older. One moment. It's a World War II with Clint Eastwood. Can anybody give me a title? Clint Eastwood, World War II movie. What's that title? It's about a heist. About a heist. Oh my gosh, I cannot find it. Oh wait. Kelly's Heroes. There we go. Kelly's Heroes. That's the movie. Kelly's Heroes. Yes, that's the movie that I've seen. So I've seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, High Noon, and Kelly's Heroes. Those are the 3 movies that I've seen last month. Perfect. Perfect. Kelly's Heroes. Pretty funny movie.
Movies, and I can just say that and people are fine with it. But nobody wants to think that they're like dumb or whatever, so people lie about the books they read.
No, they don't.
It's
I
really
don't.
weird. All I want is for people to not be pretentious, because I think that like belief that you have to read or be dumb, not only is it literally ableist, by the way, and I mean that, I'm not being facetious. Not only is it literally ableist, but it also
it's nice to Złoto dla zuchwałych in Polish. Kelly's Heroes. That's right. Yes. I don't know. I mean, it's good to read. And I don't think it's... I don't know. Why is ableism getting into this? It's just a good thing to read. And more people read than you give them credit. Like, that's my opening statement. Okay, it's nice to read, and more people read than you give them credit. That's the opening statement to my debate that will for sure happen against Vaush on this topic.
It's to a really inaccurate, like, outside assessment of what's going on in like books, like books and reading and the literary community in general.
The literary community,
because it leads people to misrepresent like data or.
If there's a literary community, then is there an illiterary community?
About what they like, or they'll pretend they like some stuff but not actually buy it, and it can, leads to a fucking... Seems like for the most part the money is in like stupid self-help books, diet books, and like fan fiction. I don't know, dog. I've already read 4 books in 2024. Nobody cares. Why? This is what I mean. Why? When I say people only watch movies X often, nobody in chat runs up to prove, like, oh, I've watched this many movies. Why do you...
I just did. I literally just did. I just said I watched 3 movies last month. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Think I care? I'm not judging you, and you're not smarter for having read or
Stop judging me.
Not read any books. This is what I mean. Everyone in chat's like racing to the front, like, no, I read. I don't care. Great, that's great. 21% of American adults are literate. Say maybe 5%.
I also read. This seems like a shower argument. Was just waiting for an excuse to unleash. That is possible, That's why I'll have a debate about it. Maybe find a book that you agree upon and recommend to viewer. Oh yeah, there is a book. One moment. I'll be right back. I'll take it from upstairs, okay? Don't go anywhere. I'm back. Not good, you should bow down, etc. Listen, Ukraine, The Forging of a Nation by Jarosław Hrystak. Okay? That's a book I recommend. You should all buy it. It's available in the US since it's in English. It's in English, so you should get it. Yup. So you should get that. Get that. Was doomer-pilled. Why were you doomer-pilled? Let's watch more Vaush things about books. Also, we've been doing a book reading on this stream. If you're interested in the book about the Israel-Palestine conflict, then we've been doing a book reading. I started reading a book on stream. 100 years old conflict, a very famous book about the Palestine-Israel conflict. So not only do I read off stream, we also read on stream.
So, Cross River Therapy.
So
I have no idea what this website is.
Anybody who watches my stream automatically reads, because you can listen to me read the book.
1% are illiterate? I don't think that's true. The average American reads to the 7th to 8th grade level. That is true. 8th grade level reading. Good Lord. There's a reason why newspapers write at that level. My sister says she reads, but all she does is read.
Newspapers read at an 8th grade level. What? Now that I need some sort of like I do need to see some sort of justification for that claim that newspapers read at a 7th or 8th grade level. You assumed what would be a depressing read, but I'm pleasantly surprised. What read? Yes, it's about Ukraine, yeah. The Ukraine. Oh, you have it. Do you have the book that I've just recommended? Do you have it? I've just started reading it, actually, recently.
You read the same trashy romance novel. This is what I mean, yeah. I don't really know if you could call that, like, being a reader or whatever. It's just like you like the porn. What do you think causes this insecurity? We have a really, like, chauvinistic attitude towards reading because we associate reading a bunch of books with, like, the aesthetic of an intellectual. An intellectual is...
It's not about an aesthetic of intellectual. It's just that books are usually thickly packed with information. I don't think that's a controversial take, right? That books can be thickly packed with information that you can absorb by reading it. It's not about the veneer of being an intellectual. Your vocabulary does increase and etc. when you read. Also, there is actually a pretty interesting advice. There's a study on this, okay? Apparently, if you... unless, I guess you just have to not be shy for this to work, but if you read things out loud, apparently your brain will retain the knowledge much better. It's slower, for sure, to read things out loud, but apparently the retention is better and the way your vocabulary will improve also is better. So maybe sometimes if you read a book, consider doing a little bit of an experiment and try reading it out loud and see how that feels. Because apparently there are many benefits to it. You know? So not just read out loud.
Somebody with a big bookshelf who's read lots of inscrutable...
I've been mentioned on Vaush's stream. Maybe that's why I've been rated.
Like foreign works that you don't know about and has lots of big thoughts because of it. It's a really elitist attitude to have towards writing, and it's also complete bullshit. There's literally nothing about reading that is better as a medium of communicating information than film or music or television or blah, blah, blah.
There's nothing better, but there's nothing worse also. Like, all mediums have their pros and cons. You know, books have the pro of having a lot of information, sort of usually packed in like a format that you can just sort of access and bookmark things, etc., you know? It's not as... I guess you could sort of do it as in other mediums. There are ways to do this in other mediums as well, but, you know. It's good to read.
Everything else. It's all just art. It's all art, you know? I do think there are some unique things to reading. Like, there are some things about reading, I think, that are really cool and special.
Also, it's not just art. Books can be, like, information, like the history books that I mainly read. And also I've been, I guess, studying on IR textbook. I've been studying international relations because it feels like it's a mandatory thing for a political commentator now. To be super like a neorealism and bandwagoning. And, you know.
That I think makes it good to read, but I don't think it makes you smarter. I think that, like, reading can be good.
I mean, it can develop you, making you smarter, no?
Because it helps you, it helps with literacy, which is a general life skill. It helps with communication in ways that, like, other Other mediums can't because books are literally all words. And also, of course, it kind of stokes the imagination.
So you do get smarter. You said that it doesn't make you smarter, but then you said that it does. So which is it? If I could read Polish, I would consider myself an intellectual. Exactly. It's okay if different formats work better for different people as long as we're learning. Yeah, that's true. I like to diversify my intake of different forms of medium. You know? That is the best way.
It can sort of prompt you to think a little more because you have to, because you're just reading words on a page. I think that's nice. You know? I just don't think it makes you smarter. Of course, being able to read really, fancy pantsy books might...
Oh, hold on. If it develops your vocabulary, communication skills, etc., then it literally makes you smarter, no?
Indicate intelligence.
Am I misunderstanding something here? How can you say it? Oh, actually, reading books develops your communication skills. Actually, it makes you think more. Actually, it makes you this, that, and the other, and then say, but it doesn't make you smarter. When you've just given a whole list of ways in which it makes you smarter. You know? I don't know.
But that could be the same. The same could be said about like media analysis of any decent TV show or movie, right? Like, I think that you need to be some kind of intelligent to get a lot of like, I don't know, analytical worth out of something like Breaking Bad or The Wire, because there's a lot written into those shows that you can, sit down and think about. You need to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty. But again, just watching Rick and Morty doesn't make you smarter. Now, understanding it the way that I do, that means you're a genius. This strikes me as Vaush having insecurity.
True.
How?
Vaush is insecure. That's going to be an argument in this is going to be part of my opening statement in the debate, actually. You're insecure.
How? Is that bait? Reading as opposed to watching TV or playing games is better for your brain, especially when you're young? Well, you do want to teach literacy. So I should never read books and watch movies instead? Yes. Vaush, you mentioned House of Leaves. Is that a tough read? I'd say so, yeah. I mean, there are definitely tougher reads, but House of Leaves is definitely not like an ESL 8th grade reading level first book you pick up kind of deal, I'd say. For the most part, like, unless you're talking about trashy romance novels or young adult fiction or whatever else.
Is that gray hair on Vaush's beard? Never mind.
Anybody who's writing a book is probably going to know quite a bit about words, Reading is a less accessible medium than most others, so... Do you think the fall in media literacy is because books fell off? No. There has never been a point in history that most people have read books. Any belief otherwise is like historical revisionist bullshit. Like the same thing that leads people to think everyone in the 1950s lived in some big suburban home and like completely supported themselves off one family. People read more now than they ever have. The fact of the matter is...
Wait! If people read more now than they ever have, but you just said that nobody reads. You said that nobody reads and that the book industry is just kept alive by whales. But now you say that people read more than ever in history?
For most of history, the only people who could read or write were a very select group of elites. Right now, basically everyone can read and write and publish these days. If you want to, which is good. I don't read because I think I'm smarter than anyone, but because it's an easy way to distract myself from my problems. Sure, great, yeah, whatever. Bit of escapism can be fine if you're going through
This projection, I do this goofy circular set argument too. It's a way to help process and better understand my thoughts, but I keep it to myself.
difficult times. It's fine. Same with movies or TV. Isn't the history of literacy a bit different in places like China? Well, I'm talking about books here. Like, various forms of literacy have had various forms of... Like, medieval peasants could read signs with directions on them, like various... Like, I'm talking about, like, collected, long literature that you're meant to, like, sit down and engage with, I guess. Yeah, they only had barely functional literacy. For most of history, like, at least in the Middle Ages, I guess. I'm generalizing a lot here, but my understanding is
Why did you use the quotation marks for the term Middle Ages?
that most people, most peasants had functional literacy, meaning they could read and write ledgers for like farming records, and they could do directions, maps, that kind of stuff, because those were like useful and necessary for regular day-to-day stuff. But they couldn't like
Could most farmers really do that, or peasants?
write or read a book, you know? And they certainly couldn't read Latin, which is what the Bible was read in up until a few hundred years ago. Vaush, everyone reads the Little Red Book. You're very uneducated in this time. Yeah, I read the Green Book, actually. Thank you. Do you have any favorite books? I don't read that often. Pound for pound, you know, as much of a meme book as it is that no one's actually fucking read or given a shit about, 1984 is probably the book I've actually read the most, because I feel like that it actually is quite a good book.
Seeing this video made me realize Vaush might be like Hassan.
Really, really, really want to finish House of Leaves.
Listen, both Vaush and Hassan are the offspring of Stephen Bonnell II, which actually happens to be my husbando. Look at this. I'm gonna show you something. You might be surprised. Let me see. Where is it? Where is the... That's not the right. That's not this. Where's the marriage? I cannot find my marriage picture. I'm sorry. Oh, Lucy's marriage. There you go. This is another fun art that I've been made by a fan. This is the fan artwork that I received from my viewers. Just so you know. This is the type of fan art that I receive from my viewers. Make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Cursed. Well, you know, it is what it is. Hot. I see.
Apart from that, I don't have the attention span to sit down and read that much. I don't. I try to. I want to. There are lots of like complex or difficult pieces of media that I like sitting down for, but reading is tough for me. It's only gotten worse with time.
No, that was actually destiny. That was actually destiny. Stephen Bonnell II.
Been with the Adderall. Does not read a lot. This explains so much. I know you're baiting, but that's exactly what I mean. What about Upton Sinclair's Jungle? I mean, sure, I read that for school. Do you think audiobooks have helped increase the number of people who read books frequently? Yeah, probably. Audiobooks are pretty cool, conceptually.
Also, consider joining the page, the White Forest page that I have. I am in the White Forest family. And consider giving me some love and feedback on how the stream is so far. I might be actually debating a person soon. Are you familiar with a person called, like, he's been on panels, he has debated people on Ukraine. Are you familiar with a person called Non-Smoker? Is anybody in the audience right now familiar with a person called the Non-Smoker that has taken part in panels about Ukraine and debated of quite a few people on Ukraine? Thank you, Saitama. Oh God. One Tank Man. What have you seen of his? Non-smoker. Yes, non-smoker. Like the person that debated people in Ukraine. Is that guy you reacted to? Yeah, that's right. It's the one that the Holodomor guy that I reacted to. Yeah. And he didn't like my video, so he contacted me and we might be speaking soon on the stream. We might be having a debate about Ukraine, about the current conflict. I might have to talk about how there was no coup in 2014 and how evil Ukrainian regime did not actually shell the Donbass to destroy every single Russian speaker. That's gonna be a thing. So, keep your ears and eyes open, and you might see Lucy has a debate.
You've gotten worse because reading is a skill? No, I've gotten worse because my attention span has gotten worse. I can still read just fine. The tankies will latch on to this. None of this is new! I've been saying I'm not much of a reader for 5 years now. People email me, asking me for book recommendations, and I tell them that I don't read. I send them to other people. Radical Reviewer does, reviews of radical literature.
Radical.
You know who doesn't read at all? Wow. Look at this big guy! Can't even read! He's so sleepy. Ooh.
Well,
He's mad.
Don't worry, I have given you book recommendations today, okay? If there's anything that you will get out of this stream, of this segment, of this everything, is that I have given you recommendation on